What Lionel is specifically trying to say is that, one, you will give credit when credit is not due based upon your assumptions of what a character should have based upon your liking. Whereas other characters that you do not like as much and are not as clouded in curiosity, they get nothing. You won't say Rox has Haki hardening.
Smoker technique, by the way.
That's crazy. I really don't
like Sebastian said, a technique that Smoker knows. Rox doesn't know. And you're very adamant about it because what did you say? You said, if he hasn't shown it, I don't think he can do it. It's unlikely that I think he can do it. And that just doesn't hold up, bro.
The Knights have shown that you don't need that level of Haki to put them down. We seen Ray one-shot one. We seen Rox take them out easily. And he said that he blew them back. Like, that caliber, that's why it made Rox so special.
But Lawrence,
But even then, why didn't he take out Sommers?
That's what I'm saying. Like, Lawrence, just on some, like...
He was rushing to go save his son.
His, like, newborn son is on this island. I'm gonna not use this critical mass Haki because I'm trying to make sure I don't take out Harold. Like... But the DDT is going to be Harold versus Whitebeard, prime for prime, and Rox versus Roger. It's time to do this. All right, it's time to do this.
Prime for prime?
Everybody at the strongest you think they could ever be. No Covenants and no Jami reverse. Them using their Haki as they are.
Lawrence is going to be like Roger, no diff.
Don't get him started, man.
You're going to be like, no diff.
One, I do not do favoritism like that. I don't. No, I'm gonna be real with you. I honestly don't.
You sure about that?
I don't.
Look at Lionel. Look at Lionel's face.
I only say it because there's certain characters you kind of give Ryuma, like Conqueror's Haki.
Yes, facts.
Like,
go ahead.
There's barely evidence towards it. But when we talk about Akainu doing Future Sight, when there's a little more evidence off that, you're like, nah. That's what I'm like. No, I agree with you, not favoritism, but with certain characters, it starts becoming like you really don't like them.
The only person in the one, besides from the Celestial Dragons, which I don't like, I don't dislike Mariko. Mm-hmm. I've never said I hated him. I never said I disliked him. I've always said I don't agree with the strength level that people put him at, especially Sebastian. Anyone that shows an argue a strength level, like the same thing. I like Mihawk, but I don't agree with the strength level that people put him above every other character that can wield a sword. Roger, Rox, anyone. I don't believe Mihawk is above them. I argue against it. The whole thing with Ryuma, I believe he is a Conqueror. I don't know why it's shown that favoritism. I believe he is for what he's shown. With Akainu thing, I've always argued what Akainu showed, you could do the same thing with observation. It didn't show that you needed Future Sight to do so. Does Akainu have Future Sight? To me, it was like, I don't know. He hasn't shown that to me yet because he got snuck by, yes, it's Whitebeard, but if your Future Sight is there, you should at least saw it coming. He had no idea that Whitebeard was even standing behind him. If Future Sight was being shown, even if you couldn't follow it, Luffy showed that he was able to track Kaido's movements, but still got speed blitz. Akainu showed that he was oblivious to Whitebeard's presence at all. To me, that didn't show that he had Future Sight.
Do you think Mihawk has Future Sight?
Probably. I don't know. He hasn't shown anything, but...
Damn, yo, because he should have saw Jozu block that attack.
I mean, I guess, you know? Like, that's... To me, I'm not writing One Piece, honestly, because I'm going up based off what they've shown.
No, I get you, but that goes into, like, there's certain factors that even what Cat said. If you go to the fight with Cat and Luffy, Cat even says, Future Sight allows you to do this. So now he's a person who has observation and he got Future Sight. So he probably most likely had regular observation before, realized I couldn't do this when I had regular observation. Future Sight allows me to do this. And we've seen other people, like we saw the 3 admirals. Smoker. You can argue, all right, those admirals, their observation is better than Smoker's, but we see other observation users who have similar abilities like Cat, and Cat's a Paramecia, but his ability is like a Lagius. And none of them do that except Akainu. And we didn't even understand what Akainu did until later on, until Cat did it. And it looks the exact same thing what Akainu did. Because Akainu, for we already saw Marco touch Aokiji and Kizaru. But I know he can't touch Akainu when Akainu says they're Haki users. So clearly he's just showing that Akainu felt Haki attack at that moment. But that didn't hurt them. The only time we saw somebody using Haki and doing it to somebody like a Paramecia or Lagia that didn't hurt them was Cat. All that evidence right there is like the same thing when, for instance, the first time Luffy did Conquerors wasn't at Amazon Lily. It was at, I think somebody should go with the bull. I brought up to YouTube when we were watching the anime. Luffy did it. And I'm like, yo, that looks similar to what Shanks did. did. And you're like, nah, it's too early to tell for that. Guess what? Luffy's a freaking conqueror. So just like that little instance. Over multiple times we saw, again, the Boar Sisters with the Haki shield and sent him out with the Haki shield. Did we know that was Haki until they told us fully? Or what type of Haki it was? Because both of them did outer emission. Till later on really explains that's Haki. Then we find out later on that's outer emission. Oda didn't explain to us yet what happened with Akainu, with Marco. But later on he explains it without explaining it to us. Name other two people who did what Cat and Akainu just did with their observation. Because there's none. Even when you look at the fights now, where do you see Aokiji separate his body from his guard? When you see Kizaru separate his body against...
Aokiji did it versus Whitebeard.
But that's different, though. Because I'm saying, he just separated his body at that moment. Like,
listen, bro, it could be up to future sight.
And it could be. And that's fair. But I'm going by the increments of the accuracy of their level. Like, Luffy's doing Gatling, and Cat's not getting touched. Because anytime when Luffy used Snake Man, Luffy already has future already. If you look at the fight with Kizaru, name a time when Luffy did an attack where Aokiji dodged it like Cat or like Akainu. There's not a pattern. Look, there's not. But that's what I'm saying. We have people who are observation users who are not doing the same thing what Cat and Akainu just did.
But that's only tricky because we don't have a lot of Lockias. The similar observation thing we do, we seen it before Akainu did it on Skype. They were all predicting exactly what they were going to do, and it seemed like Future Sight, but it wasn't Future Sight. It was regular observation. On Skype, or that person that was fighting Luffy and Sanji together. The ordeal thing? Yeah. If you check what they were doing, he was like predicting everything they were doing down to the T, like Cat was doing with other people. But he wasn't using Future Sight, he was using regular observation. That tells me being able to predict people's moves is observation. At a higher level is what Cat's able to do. And I'm saying that to do the simple separating your body, what Cat did and what Akainu did, you could do that with observation because guess what? Observation allows you to see the attacks doing, but it's your skill alone if you could separate your body or not. That's not an observation feat, that's a skill, your ability feat. Observation will be able to tell you if the attack's coming in time. Observation is not going to add to your ability where like, oh, I can separate it now. If you're able to see it and react in time.
I think the reasoning behind the reason why people are saying it's future sight is because to be able to see it in the future gives you the time to then separate your body because you know where it's going to land.
Right.
Specifically.
Yeah. Well, let me add this too. With every first commander, they have always had to be beaten with some type of advanced armament Haki, or some type of level of Conqueror's Haki, or some type of advanced observation Haki. Katakuri, Luffy needed future sight. King, Zoro needed to tap into some level of utilization for Conqueror's Haki just to even get through him. So we should assume, if they're all relative, that each first commander is going to need some type of advance or utilization of specific types of Haki. So the higher you go with first commanders, if you're an admiral, you're going to have to assume that they're most likely also using some type of advanced Haki in order to not get hit as easily as Akainu was able to avoid their attacks by Vista and Marco. And it's not only that, what Lino is specifically trying to say is that one, you will give credit when credit is not due based upon your assumptions of what a character should have based upon your liking. Whereas other characters that you do not like as much and are not as clouded in curiosity, they get nothing, even though they've proven through context in different situations that this is most likely a high possibility of them having this, where the other is just guesswork. That's what Lino's trying to say.
And that's not true. That's not true. That's that's not what I do. Did I say it's factual that Ryuma is a conqueror? No, I believe he is because the writing around him, and he's literally similar to Zoro. Luffy is like what, the next Roger, and he's exactly like Roger and everything, and maybe even Joy Boy. Guess what? They're both conquerors. Literally the same exact thing is written about Ryuma and Zoro. Zoro's literally his ancestor, and he's exactly like Zoro in almost every single way. He forced his blade back, and they talk about the whole warrior spirit that he had when he was alive, and he remained undefeated. Even in the show we show him out that Oda wrote, the Wanted series, to me shows that he's a conqueror. The same way I show, like for example, Ben Beckham. I believe they hinted that he was a conqueror too. There's no proof to it. I believe he is. I'm not saying it's a fact that he is, but I say I believe it. With Akainu, you guys saying that he used future sight literally with the attack he did with Vista and Marco.
Jinbei as well.
No, all right, fine. After that attack from Marco and Vista and all of them, Whitebeard shows up. If you're saying he has his future sight on, and remember, Whitebeard shows up standing behind him. who's the one that let Akainu that Whitebeard was behind him? Was it Akainu himself or not? No, it was regular Marine soldiers. So they saw Whitebeard behind Akainu before he saw Whitebeard behind his own dang self. So if he had future sight on, literally right after Marco and Vista attacked him, how come other people had to draw his attention to Whitebeard? Because guess what? His reaction to when they told him, watch out Akainu, Whitebeard's behind you. He goes, huh? No idea at all. Looks around and then gets cracked. So if his observation is on, how come regular people were able to follow Whitebeard's attack to see him attacking, but Akainu, who's a future sight user, couldn't see this?
Lawrence, you're going towards the anime.
No, I'm not going towards anime.
Because
I could go to the manga. The standing behind them, yeah, that's anime. The ones who call out Akainu, watch out, that is manga.
And I get you, and that did happen, and he got shocked when it happened. But I already said this to you. Remember the rooftop? The same thing happened to Luffy. Remember when Luffy cracked Kaido, and he said like the same thing happened. Then they got into a little manga while we were talking. Then the flame Big Mom tried to attack Luffy, and Zoe cut the flames or whatever. Then later on, you see Kaido go behind Luffy, and Luffy has the same reaction as Akainu. Zoe says, Luffy, watch out. Then Luffy's like, Like, they both get to us. Luffy is a confirmed future sight user. We're assuming that Akainu has future sight. Then before Luffy gets hit, Law switches him out. But Luffy is also a future sight user, and Luffy even says, I used future sight before when he got cracked with Kaido, remember, and he barely dodged it. And he said, you won't get hit the second time. That happened in the rooftop. Just because you get caught off guard, it could happen. We know speed is a counter for future sight.
But no, you're saying that he was using it right in that moment. And I'm saying literally right after the moment, Whitebeard appears. And you're comparing Luffy. No, but you're also comparing Luffy, who just learned it, to who you guys believe Akainu is a seasoned veteran in using future sight.
It's also Whitebeard.
Whitebeard is an old age, bro.
But the thing is, it's
angry.
like, so we already have a character that has Conqueror's Haki and is said to kill observation within Shanks. And if we have Whitebeard, who has Conqueror's Haki, it may know how to do such a technique where instead of combining Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki in order to make the advanced Conqueror's Haki attack where it's not touching anymore, then I should assume that Whitebeard can use whatever Conqueror's Haki he was able to use at that time with his observation Haki in order to kill or subdue to some degree Akainu's observation or future sight. Not only that, the part that you're talking about where Akainu gets snuck is chapter 575. Akainu is actually clashing with Marco, who blocks his attack, and then Jinbei is carrying Luffy and running away. And Akainu is so focused on Jinbei and Marco and trying to catch Luffy that he goes, yo, I'm not allowing you guys to escape. Whitebeard comes out of nowhere and punches down on him and quakes his face. Akainu gets back up, punches Whitebeard's face off, and then Whitebeard hits him with the side shot, which temporarily knocks him out. I can easily say through just an example through Shanks and what Whitebeard might be capable of in his moment of anger after Akainu punched him and Akainu's attention being on something else, that was easily possible for Whitebeard to just land that hit on somebody who does have future sight. To go back to what you said before, which was Ben could have Conqueror's Haki. I believe Ben has Conqueror's Haki. Ryuma is very much like Zoro, the way they speak about him. He should have Conqueror's Haki. But you won't say Rocks has Haki hardening.
Smoker technique, by the way.
That's crazy. I really don't
Like Sebastian said, a technique that Smoker knows. Rocks doesn't know. And you're very adamant about it because what did you say? You said, if he hasn't shown it, I don't think he can do it. It's unlikely that I think he can do it. And that just doesn't hold up, bro.
Remember when I was comparing that, like, he hasn't shown in all his fights? I'm allowing the evidence to speak for itself. That's why I brought out in every...
It's funny you choose those words. All the things you're going to say. It's funny you choose those words.
The reason why I'm saying, like, right? This is fine. It's because, like, for example, right?
There's no way,
Like I said before,
no way,
every
brother.
single panel I've seen this dude do an attack in, Haki hardening wasn't used once. And I thank Lionel for even showing it on our chat. Even that attack against Emu, Garp and Roger are both using Haki hardening,
They are.
but Rocks are not. In fact, Big Mom is not using Haki hardening.
You can't tell Whitebeard.
Yeah, and I was gonna say Kaido's at the time he's in his dragon form, right? And he's using like whatever. The bigger names are as in Roger and Garp, who've shown to be using Haki hardening from before that. That's why I think it's interesting. The only time we've seen Rocks use Haki hardening is under Dami Reversi. I don't know what Oda means by that. To me, when I'm looking at Rocks and his attacks, Rocks doesn't really show a great amount of swordsmanship in his fighting. If you look at his attacks, it's kind of like the same thing over and over. I use a sword, but I'm kind of using the same technique as in Advanced Conquerors, and he's just Haki chucking with that over and over. Nothing really different, no versatility, but it's the same Haki attacks. No Haki hardening, no variation, just kind of that. Look at the way Shanks, Roger, Ray, and all the people who wield the sword. It looks like rocks, the way he's doing it. There's no style to him. No style, no form. Not that you need it, but there's no grace to either. It's like literally just chucking and slashing. So that tells me he didn't really develop any swordsman skill or style on that one. I'm just using the content to unleash my Haki in the way I know how. Through that example, looking at rocks, I was like, with no style and everything, I was like, all right, I wonder if he ever developed a way to use Haki other besides what he kind of always showed. Haki chucking with his Conquerors. Rocks didn't show any a skill needed to do it because I kind of maybe showed that I don't need any of that stuff. I'm this strong with just this. What showed me is why I don't think he's done Haki hardening in that way. And also want to clarify, the reason why I also say that about the whole Gaban thing is what I believe. Larry believes something different, but I believe at that time, before critical mass Haki that Garp and Roger developed, through that fight, Rocks, Roger, Garp, and Harold are all around the same strength. Larry believes that Rocks is far above them at that time, but I believe that they're all around the same strength at 39. Then God Valley, Garp and Roger developed critical mass Haki, surpassing that because at that time, Rocks is also passing and then also hasn't learned it yet. But before then, at that age, if I was to put Ray and Gaban in their prime against Roger and Garp at that age, Gaban and Ray should be able to beat them, right? At that age, in their prime. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm saying. So this I'm trying to knock out the favoritism because it's not just towards Rocks. I'm thinking if I believe that all of them are around that same age, I'm going by prime them, their best. And I'm also including that they've learned critical mass Haki themselves. If they don't have critical mass Haki, it's confirmed that Gaban and Ray don't have it, then I'm changing my answer. But I'm linking them, Gaban and Ray in their prime, knowing and mastering critical mass Haki, they should be able to beat Roger, Garp, and Rocks at the age they were at God Valley, not in their prime. I don't think that Ray, what they showed in the show, especially they compared Ray to being the legend that Whitebeard was. Garp said it himself, right? This is the Marine base about to go to war with Whitebeard, and he like, we cannot deal with Ray single by himself in his old age. We can't deal with two legends at the same time, as in Whitebeard and Ray. With that in mind, I think I lost my
It's all right, bro. I can reply if you want.
And one of his heart.
Okay, so I'm saying that.
Rocks, and the way he wields his sword, has been stated. When he swings, it's like a cannonball. For him to swing, he didn't do that once during Dami Reversi. It's like if we bring it all the way back together, it's just you don't go off of evidence, dog. You just go off of pure assumption. And that's the problem we're all having on the panel. And you'll pick and choose according to who you believe because it's who you like.
It's not true.
And it's not just One Piece, bro.
That's not true.
Because we could have a whole Amachi argument, but we'll have to save that.
Another day. You guys all know that Roger's my favorite character, but I just said 39-year-old loses, or I believe if they have critical mass Haki in their prime, loses that.
That's the other thing. If Gaban had critical mass Supreme King Haki in his pocket, he just would have used it against Harold, and he didn't.
No, but they weren't trying to take Harold out. They're trying to save Harold. They don't know how to do it.
But Lauren, is it reasonable to think that Gaban would allow it to get to this point if he could use it? He's actively killing the other guard.
And not only that, he's
true.
Versed Holy Knights before.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure at some point, maybe this is just guesswork on my part, but it's probably likely he's versed Domi Reversi at least once. And that's me guessing. But overall,
he didn't seem to know much about what was happening there.
Well, even if he didn't, but the Knights, right? The Knights have shown that you don't need that level of Haki to put them down. We seen Ray one-shot one. We seen Rocks take them out easily, and he said he built them back. That caliber, that's why it made Rock so special.
But Lawrence,
even then, why didn't he take out Sommers?
That's what I'm saying. Lawrence, just on some
he was rushing to go save his son.
His newborn son is on this island. I'm gonna not use this critical mass Haki because I'm trying to make sure I don't take out Harold. If I gotta take out Harold, I gotta take out Harold.
It's a contradiction, that's what I'm gonna say. Because we already saw what critical mass Haki did to Rocks. It didn't take out Rocks or end his life. No, it saved them. Now it goes to the point as in, does Covenant follow that same?
Yeah, but our reasoning is just whether or not Gaban would be put in a position to use the technique if he, to Lawrence's point, assumedly knows it. If he knows it, he should be at least be attempting to. It should be the thing he's telling Luffy and them to use. Now, he said how you utilize your Conqueror's Haki, which is the potential scapegoat for you, or in general. Hey, Gaban could be alluding to critical mass Haki in the first place when he says this to them about this. So I'm not even dismissing the fact that Gaban could have it or know it, etc. It doesn't seem as though he used it versus Harold in the castle.
And I would agree to that he didn't use it.
But and also, like Lawrence brought out a good point to me. We don't even know if Garp and Roger understand what happened to Rocks because they were unconscious.
Yeah.
When they did critical mass Haki move on Rocks, they don't know if that took him out or worked or not. They don't have that knowledge. So now you're going with Gaban. Gaban could probably may think I might, and this goes to either side. If I use critical mass Haki, will this save Harold or take him out completely? That's the thing that he didn't want to do. I'm not saying he has critical mass Haki. I like to think so, but I don't know. Me doing this thing, will it save Harold or will it take him out? And he's like strong with that. And that's could be a reason, I'm not saying a fact, could be a reason why he chose not to do it. The fact that is because they don't know. Now it might change now with the new reveal about Dory and Bragi. There are certain things that they don't fully know how this affects with the Diamond Versity. And that's what you can use as an argument to a degree why certain things didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be Oda being inconsistent with how people are going to utilize this thing.
And that's
but
fair too.
In general, like I just don't know if we can outright say one or the other, whether he does have it or doesn't, which is fine. I'm fine with assumptions. I don't like that these types of assumptions are why you put them above people. And that's my issue.
And I argued this to Lawrence, and I said, if Rocks didn't show Haki hardening, it doesn't fully matter, as in saying it's a lack of Haki, because I think more Haki is more Haki, regardless of like the attack. If you're putting more power into your attack, that's you going all out. You're using everything, all your Conquerors, all your Boshoku Haki, like Intermission, Haki, Intermission. You get me? Rayleigh said Luffy has a strong time for Haki, and we're assuming that it falls to other big character names, like obviously Roger, Odin, Whitebeard, Rocks, Rayleigh, whatever. Luffy only did Haki for 2 years. He struggled when he learned Future Sight. He did, but he still learned it. And now we're seeing that he's learning within a couple of months advanced Conqueror's usage and outer mission and inner mission. You trying to tell me that Rocks, his proficiency of years of using Haki, can't just whip out like how we saw Kaido did with Future Sight? We don't even know if he had that in his bag. And we know Rayleigh said, there's some people who could use Future Sight. We don't know if he has it. We're assuming he might have it too now. There's no way that Rocks cannot just whip out Armament Haki if you're going to argue Future Sight as well. They all can just learn these attacks during mid-fight, just like Luffy did. And because again, they're more experienced in Haki using. That argument itself is also kind of like, you trying to tell me that Rocks can't learn critical mass Haki? Amount of years he's using Haki? No. To me, those doesn't make sense to me because if Luffy could learn that in 2 years, Future Sight and other stuff, you're trying to tell me these other guys can't learn these things just as fast as Luffy or even faster? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know if to you guys, but how does that make sense?
That's what I brought up before. The same way that Luffy picked it up by seeing. Because when I said for Gaban and Ray, it follows for Rocks too. All of them, if they kind of just see it done with their talent, they could just kind of start doing it.
The perfect example is Zoro. He did a technique, learning it, without even knowing he was doing it. He doesn't even know he was a conqueror. He didn't learn how to use his or control his conquerors. He learned through observation in Boshoku Haki, but at the end of the day, he started using conquerors. And he's untrained in conquerors usage.
We should just end this soon.
Yeah.
But like, we've been shown with Rocks at the beginning of his career, he was able to use advanced Conqueror's Haki attacks by clashing with Harold. He defeated an admiral. He broke a gate of justice by himself. This was at the beginning of his career. 14 years later, he's able to put down Domi Reversi and 2 Holy Knights, with one of them being a commander-in-chief in the near future. And he was more effective at stopping a Holy Knight and how to defeat them without prior knowledge of what they had as to these covenant abilities. And we see Gaban in his old age, and he can't even do the same thing that Rocks did unknowingly to Sommers, who is weaker than Harold. So for him to be like, yo, you don't have Haki hardening, therefore you're weaker than somebody else like Ryuma, who clearly doesn't have anything to his name, because you can't name one single person out of Ryuma's era that was actually competition for the world. At this point, he's known for slaying a dragon and protecting Wano from all invaders. There must not been a lot of people who wanted to come to Wano because they already had natural defenses they couldn't get through. He wasn't known as Kaido because Kaido had people who didn't come to Wano because he was just Kaido. But Ryuma was always getting challenged. So it's like, you can't be like, yo, Ben Beckman got Conqueror's Haki, Ryuma got Conqueror's Haki, Gaban and Rayleigh are 100 points, meanwhile Rocks is 96.
I didn't say
and
that.
this is purely because, yo, they might have seen something that might have caused them to learn Critical Mass Supreme King Haki. Meanwhile, Gaban has led the example that he has not learned it. He's not been able to stop Sommers.
He did stop Sommers.
Because I saw Sommers get back up. I saw Somers get back up. I saw Somers fight and continue fighting, and the only time he's been knocked down was because Loki and Luffy intervened.
Oh, in the same way where Garling took out Rocks. Because then who did Garling fight? Didn't Rocks fight Garling? But who took him out in the end? It's the same way where they healed up and came up later on. This dude put past Somers to go save his kid. He legit told Somers, I don't have time to be trying to deal with you. And then cut him down, and he's like, oh, while he's trying to struggle to heal himself, went after his son. Rocks legit fought this man and stabbed him with his fought Garling with this man, and Garling still got up to put him down later.
Imagine if Somers...
So, like, I don't want to hear that.
Imagine if Somers had a sword or an axe in his chest and he was pinned to the ground. How effective would he have been during the Elbaf arc? Unless Gonko or St. Killingham or one of the Sleep Tids ended up knocking the sword out of him. Rocks did that to Garling, and he came after the fight, like after everything was done. Emu had no help, dude. But Somers out here doing willingly whatever he wants.
This dude went past it. Gaban didn't even focus on Somers, was able to put him down that quickly. I have more pressing matters to deal with you than what God.
Imagine catching Somers off guard, and the only thing you do is cut his arm off, and then you have to get attacked by Somers.
He didn't cut off his arm. He legit cut off his whole upper body. He cut off like his head.
He cut off his arm when he first attacked him. Yeah. And then when they started going back and forth and they attacked each other again, that's when he cut through his chest because Somers was allowed to fight back. This is somebody that knows to utilize their Conqueror's Haki in order to make these immortals not immortal. And he didn't subdue Somers.
Because he wasn't trying to waste time. He's legit trying to face his son.
How much time I gotta waste in order to put an axe into you and then put you on the ground?
Remember, another night.
Lawrence, it could be done in one shot from your understanding.
Did Somers enough affect him to later on to go while he was going saving his son? No. Somers had no effect on him later on. So what he did to Somers was enough for him to get past him to try to save his son. What stopped him was Gonko stopping him because Colin said that he was Gaban's son.
Lawrence.
Somers played no factor into Gaban later on.
What's better in this situation? You actively knowing how to destroy or immobilize these holy knights, so when you get an opportunity to sneak one, you just don't subdue them immediately? Or is it, I cut his arm off, I don't subdue him, and then I have to literally start battling him? You're wasting time. You're literally wasting time doing it that way. If you have all this power, if you have all this knowledge, in order to put somebody that's not on Harold's level down, why not do it with the first freaking strike? Why do you have to take your time and go back and forth with this individual? Because from what I saw, Somers ended up raising vines from the ground, raising vines from the air, ended up raising his own bat, and then started attacking. And then Gaban had to land multiple attacks on him in order to, what? Make him regenerate slower? Hello?
Yeah, we gotta move on, guys. we got
Like, Rocks literally defeated one Holy Knight. Never saw that Holy Knight again. That girl is gone. Garling. In the ground with somebody else's sword. Not even the Eclipse that he uses on his hip. And he was not able to move. He didn't show up until after Rocks was defeated. After Emu had left. But yet Somers is just willingly chilling, telling kids he wants to see them die.
We legit had Somers complaining about what Gaban did to him on panel. Like, damn it, Gaban. Or whatever, his whole healing and everything. And then he legit was running, ran past him, and continued running. Right. And this is an old Gaban, in fact, we're talking about here. Old age Gaban, not in his prime.
Too bad Garling didn't have time to complain because he had a sword in his chest. And he was taken out of the fight.
If Rocks really wanted to put him down, he would have came back to later on to end his life. Right. If you really want to argue all that, if you talk about Rocks is so strong, why was he strong enough to fully just end Garling's life?
Right.
He's so strong. Why couldn't he do that, Larry? If you want to go all that, you say Gaban couldn't do it in his old age.
You see how the goalpost moves?
No.
You see how the goalpost moves?
No. You want to argue
your character
in his old
who's
age.
supposed to be stronger than Rocks and have this critical mass Supreme King Haki, Lawrence, cannot put down Somers, who is literally weaker than Garling, who's weaker than Harold. Why didn't he just at least put the axe into his body and make him immobile?
This is a young Garling we're talking about too.
Why didn't he do that?
This is a young Garling we're talking about too.
Do you think young Garling is stronger than the current Somers?
Probably not. Why would I think younger Garling, whatever, like, was that 40 years ago?
The same reason why you think Ben Beckman has Conqueror's Haki.
I don't see how they apply to each other at all, but okay.
They're both nonsense.
Bro. So you believe no one could be surpassed? No one could grow stronger over time? No one goes fast? But you keep talking about, Rocks, 14 years, got stronger. Is he the only one then, Larry?
All right, bro.
Y'all good? All right, we can end it there. Y'all don't understand how funny it was reading chat during this, bro. It was some of the funniest stuff they've ever said, ever. They were clowning our fits. They were clowning me. Somebody said I had eyeliner. They said Lionel looked like an offensive lineman coach. They was going in, bro. It was so much. They gave Lawrence like 3 new stamps. They said he's the supreme semantic senpai. Just amazing stuff, man. I love y'all, chat. I love y'all.